Hi friends, in the previous classes we have discussed what is meant by anthropology syllabus, question paper pattern in the exam, success strategy to be followed, the roadmap to master anthropology optional. While discussing the roadmap to master anthropology, I told you for our easy understanding we'll start with Indian anthropology, that means paper 2. In paper 2, we'll start with section A. In section A, we'll start with chapter 3. I told you, we'll start discussing different concepts in the chronological order. That's why we'll start from the beginning. That beginning is mentioned in our syllabus in third chapter. That's why we'll start with the third chapter. In our syllabus, in third chapter, there are 4 sections. First section deals with some of the concepts related to traditional Indian philosophy. Some concepts related to traditional Indian philosophy. Second section deals with caste system. That means here we'll discuss what is meant by caste, what is the importance of caste, like that, and different caste related concepts. After that, we'll discuss some concepts related to our belief system. There are 2 concepts. One is NMS complex, second one is sacred complex. They deal with our belief system. How? We'll discuss later. The 4th section deals with the impact of different religions on Indian society. Once upon a time, there was only one religion. There is nothing but Hinduism. Later, Buddhism, Jainism came into existence. Islam, Christianity entered into India. These 4 religions influenced Indian society significantly. That's why in our syllabus, they mentioned very clearly the impact of Buddhism, Jainism, Islam and Christianity on Indian society. These are the 4 sections in chapter 3. Let us start with first section. In the first section, there are 4 topics in our syllabus. They are, first one is Purusharthas, second one is Ranas, third one is Karma and Rebirth. Actually, in our syllabus it is mentioned as Ranas and Rebirth. But Ranas and Rebirth, the concept of Ranas and Rebirth is a component of this larger concept or broader concept, Karma and Rebirth. That's why we will discuss like this. After this, Ashrama system. These are the 4 topics which are mentioned in 3.1. First, let us discuss Karma and Rebirth. For your easy understanding, I will start with Karma and Rebirth. The karma and rebirth are interlinked. The concept of karma was mentioned for the first time in the Upanishads. The term karma stands for action. The karma stands for action. Action means singing, dancing, teaching, shouting, even sleeping, being silent. All these come under the category of action. Rebirth, I need not to explain, birth after death. Both are interlinked. The concept of karma and rebirth is based on three pillars or three doctrines. They are a definite and unavoidable result, second one is immortality of soul, third one is continuity. Let us discuss one after another. First one is a definite and unavoidable result. In the beginning I told you the meaning of karma is action. It includes not only the action but also the result of that action. To each and every action there will be one definite and unavoidable result. Every person, for all their actions, they have to receive the results. It is one definite result and it is not possible to avoid. If you perform good actions, you will get good results. If you perform bad actions, you will get bad results. But results are guaranteed. Now you may get one doubt. Kings, they are powerful. Even if they are involved in bad actions, they may not receive results. That's why there is one more interlinked concept, immortality of the soul. After the death is there only to the body, but inside our body there will be one soul. That soul is immortal. After our death, that soul enters into another body. And whenever we do not receive the results of our actions in a particular janma or in a particular life, we will receive the results of those actions in the next janma or next life. They can be punishments or rewards. Even the king also, if he is involved in bad actions, in the next janma he may not get birth like that of a king. He may get birth like that of a pig, like that of a donkey, or like that of a poor man. That's why in the next janma he has to receive the punishment or he has to receive the rewards. So it is not possible to avoid the results. To each and every action there will be one result, a definite result will be there. And it is not possible for us to avoid that result. Why? Because the soul is immortal. After our death, the soul enters into another body. That means the soul takes another birth. That is nothing but a rebirth. That means in the next birth we are going to receive the rewards or punishments which we have not received in the previous life. After rebirth, in that life, again we will be involved in certain actions. Some actions may be good, some actions may be bad. Again in that life also, we may not be in a position to receive the results of all the actions performed by us in that life. That's why again to receive the results of that action, again our soul takes another birth. That's why our soul is tied to a continuous cycle of birth, actions, death, again rebirth. Like this, our soul is tied to a continuous cycle of birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth. That's why there is a continuity. The actions performed by us in a particular life are going to get the results in the next life if we do not receive the results in the same life. That means there is a continuity between two lives. That's why the concept of karma and rebirth is based on these three doctrines. One is, to each and every action there will be one definite and unavoidable result. And there is immortality of soul. Because of the immortality of the soul, there will be continuity between two lives. The concept is so simple. Most of the times in civil services examination, I told you while discussing the question paper pattern, there will be three types of questions in our exam: 10 marks questions, 15 marks questions, and 20 marks questions. from 3.1 section, so far only 10 marks questions are asked. Only 10 marks questions. And here, if the concept is asked for 10 marks, this is sufficient. But sometimes questions may be asked from this topic. There are chances for indirect questions. Here in this section, after discussing the significance, after discussing the three pillars of the concept of a rebirth, you have to write significance or utility. What is the advantage of this concept? Why our Hindu philosophical thinkers introduced the concept of the karma and rebirth in our Indian philosophy? One is, for each and every action there is one result. If your actions are good, you will get good results. If your actions are bad, you will get bad results. No one wants to get bad results. That's why the concept of karma and rebirth motivates the people to be involved in good actions so that they can get good results. That's why it motivates the people to be involved in good actions. That means we'll follow the path of dharma. Second one is, it motivates the people to be involved in charitable activities. If we help other members of the society, then that will be considered as a good action. Then we will get good results. That's why it motivates the people to be involved in charitable activities. Third one is, the concept of karma and rebirth emphasizes results. For each and every action, there will be one definite and unavoidable result. If your actions are good, you will get good result. If your actions are bad, you will get bad results. If you want to get good results, you have to be involved in good actions. That means the results are on the basis of your actions. So if you want to become rich, then you will work hard to earn money. That means it motivates the people to be active in their life. It motivates the people to not to be inactive, so that different varieties of economic activities will be generated. That's why it stimulates or it motivates, it stimulates people to be active, so that it leads to generation of some economic activities. This is the significance of the concept of karma and rebirth. Whenever 10 marks question is asked, then write what is the concept of, what is the meaning of karma and rebirth. After that, you have to discuss the three pillars of the concept of karma and rebirth. After that, mention the significance. This is sufficient for 10 marks. But sometimes questions will be asked and criticism. What are the drawbacks in this concept? So far we have discussed what is that concept and what is the significance of that concept or utility of that concept. Now we'll analyze this concept from a critical point of view. That means what are the drawbacks in this concept. If we discuss the drawbacks, first one is, it is based on superstitions. It is based on superstitions. We don't know whether there is soul or not, whether there is another life or not. It is based on superstitions. I say many people criticize that the concept of karma and rebirth is based on superstitions. That's why it is responsible for social backwardness of the country. Second one is, the concept of karma and rebirth is responsible for inaction. How? The concept of karma and rebirth says that our birth or our status in a particular society are because of our actions in the previous janma. That means there is nothing in our hands. That's why the people who are in the lower socioeconomic category, they used to feel that we have nothing to do with the present status. Why? Because their present status is because of the actions of their actions in the previous janma. That's why it is responsible for motivating the people to be inactive in life also. See, it depends upon the people. See, our Hindu philosophical thinkers introduced this concept with a good motive, but some people start utilizing these concepts to be lazy, to substantiate their laziness. See, a knife can be used to cut a vegetable and at the same time to cut the throat. It depends upon the intention of the user. Similarly, here also, some people started using this concept to substantiate their laziness. They used to feel that their present status in that particular janma is because of their actions in the previous life. They have nothing to do with the present life. Their destiny is pre-decided. And the third one is, it justifies caste system. We'll discuss caste system in detail at a later point of time. I'll explain you briefly. In our caste system, the people are divided into number of groups, number of castes. All the castes are arranged in a hierarchical way, that means ranking. In our society, I will take the example of 4 major castes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Brahmins are given first rank, Kshatriyas are given second rank, Vaishyas are given third rank, Shudras are given fourth rank. The people who are in the higher ranks, they enjoy certain privileges. In the traditional Indian society, they were given number of privileges, even today also. On the lower caste, number of disabilities were imposed. All are human beings only. But because of this type of ranking, these people started enjoying some privileges. They started imposing certain disabilities on the lower caste. Now, the people who are there in the lower caste, in the traditional Indian society, they never revolted against the dominance of the higher caste. Why? Because their birth in so and so caste is because of their actions in the previous life. That's why this type of substantiation is responsible for making the people to not to revolt against the domination of higher caste. And at the same time, they used to feel that the birth in Brahmin caste or Kshatriya caste is because of their actions in the previous janma. That's why they are enjoying privileges. Like this, the concept of karma and rebirth indirectly supports or justifies the caste system. This is the criticism leveled against the concept of karma and rebirth. This is about the concept. What is the meaning of karma and rebirth? What are the doctrines or the pillars of the concept of karma and rebirth? What is the significance? What is the criticism? We have discussed. From this concept, questions can be, this is the subject content, but in the examination, questions will be asked differently. What are those questions? Let us discuss. First one is karma and rebirth. That's it. 10 marks question. I told you 10 marks question, first question and fifth question in each paper are compulsory. In first question and fifth question, again there will be sub questions. In each question there will be 5 sub questions. The questions will be like this only. They will mention directly a single phrase or single word, karma and rebirth. Simply they will mention. Whenever the question is asked like this, This is important for your exam. Whenever the question is mentioned like this, we have to write. Structure of the answer is very, very important. Please be careful. We have to write meaning or definition. Second one is the concept. Concept means here we have to explain the three doctrines. Third one is significance. Third one is significance. In your answer, these three components must be there for 10 marks questions. Very simple. Sometimes questions may be asked like this. Sometimes they will take a small point, they will ask 10 marks question. In such circumstances, we must be in a position to answer that question. Last year, one question was asked. The concept of karma and rebirth justifies caste system. Discuss. The concept of karma and rebirth justifies caste system. Discuss. I told you just one point. But in the next chapter, that means in the next section, caste system will discuss. First, in your examination, first mention what is meant by karma and rebirth. What is the meaning? And in what way it justifies caste system. How it justifies caste system? In caste system, different castes are given a ranking. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Higher caste people were given certain privileges and the lower caste certain disabilities were imposed. What are those privileges? What are those disabilities? We'll discuss in the next chapter. Here you can write briefly about those privileges and disabilities. Then you have to explain. The lower caste people, even though they are facing number of disabilities imposed by the higher caste, they never revolted against the dominance of the higher caste. Why? Because it is because of the concept of karma and rebirth. Because of the inculcation of the concept of karma and rebirth strongly in the minds of the people, the lower caste people accepted the domination of the higher caste people and disabilities imposed by the higher caste people on the lower caste. They used to feel that the upper caste people got birth in that caste because of their actions in the previous janma, because of their good actions in the previous janma. That's why they are eligible to enjoy the dominance, to enjoy the privileges and to exert their dominance. And at the same time, the same concept is responsible for making the people to feel that their birth in so and so lower caste is because of their actions in the previous janma. That's why they have to face it. In this way, the concept of karma and rebirth justifies the caste system. Like this, you have to explain. This is about the concept of karma and rebirth. Sometimes questions will be asked in a different way. This is one question. And karma and rebirth in justifying caste system. Then long answer questions can also be asked. So far only 10 marks questions were asked from this section, but we have to prepare in all the possible directions. Examine the concept of karma and rebirth. In the examination, questions will be asked. All the questions are on the same concept, but the keywords will be changed. Examine. Similarly, another question. Analyze the concept of karma and rebirth. Another question. Critically examine the concept of karma and rebirth. Critically analyze the concept of karma and rebirth. All the questions are on the concept of karma and rebirth only, but here you have to identify what is the key word in this question. Here see, examine, here analyze, here critically examine, here critically analyze. Keywords are different. That means the examiner is expecting a different answer from you. Here you have to understand, or you have to identify the intention of the examiner by identifying the keyword examine. See, if you go to any hospital, after going to the hospital, if you complain chest pain, then doctor will examine this part in detail. He will not examine in detail how your knee joint works, how your ankle joint works. Am I correct or not? After examination, he will come to a conclusion. Okay, the chest pain can be because of acidity, the chest pain can be because of lung problem or heart problem or bones. Then he will think, okay, this may be chest pain. These are the findings in favor of conclusion of chest pain because of heart problem. And these are the findings which are against the conclusion of the disease relating to acidity. Like this, he will conclude. Similarly, here also, whenever the question is asked, examine the concept of karma and rebirth. You have to examine that concept. Examine means you have to screen that concept and you have to discuss the important points. If you go into any hospital, doctor examines you from top to bottom in general, after that examine a particular part in detail. Similarly, here also we will explain the concept of karma and rebirth in general. Later we will explain, that means what is the meaning of karma and rebirth. After that, the salient features. We need not to discuss the entire concept. Salient features. Here, what are the salient features of the concept of karma and rebirth? To each and every action, there will be one definite and unavoidable result. There is immortality of soul. Because of the immortality of the soul, there will be continuity between two lives. Salient features. We will discuss salient features. After that, we will discuss what are the positives. After that, what are the negatives. That means whenever the question is asked like this, examine the concept of karma and rebirth, then you have to discuss briefly the salient features of that concept. What are the positives? That means here what is the significance. What are the negatives? That means here the criticism. Like this you have to write. Analyze. Next question. Analyze the concept of karma and rebirth. Please remember, whenever there is examine or analyze, answer is same. Examine or analyze. That means here also salient features plus positives plus negatives. That means whenever the question is asked with these two keywords, write the same answer: salient features, positives and negatives. The next question is critically examine the concept of karma and rebirth. That means the examiner is asking you to examine the concept of karma and rebirth from a critical point of view. That means from negative point of view. That means here you have to write what are the salient features. After this, the negative features. That means you are going to examine. Examine means you are not going to discuss all the features, the important features. After that, the negatives. you have to discuss the negatives in detail. And at the conclusion, all the positives in the form of a single line. You need not to write the points in detail, just single line. First, here discuss the salient features. After that, discuss the negatives. After discussing, there are 3 negatives. After discussing the negatives, positives. While discussing, I told you 3 positives are there. It motivates the people to be involved in good actions. It motivates the people to be involved in charitable activities. It motivates the people to be active in their life. Here, you need not to write those contents in the form of points. But here, you have to write after writing salient features and negatives, you have to conclude single line conclusion. Even though there are certain drawbacks, or even though there is a criticism against the concept of karma and rebirth, it is responsible for motivating the people to be involved in good actions, charitable activities, and to be active in their life. Like this, all the features can be incorporated in your answer in the form of a positive conclusion, single line positive conclusion. Like that you have to write. And I told you, examine and analyze. Whenever the question is asked, critically analyze, then also same. Salient features, positives. Here you need not to explain the positives whenever the question is asked like this, critically examine or critically analyze. But it is better to summarize all the positives or majority of the positives in the form of a single line. Please remember, single line or one line or 2 lines, 1 or 2 lines, that is sufficient. And sometimes one more question can be asked. Explain the concept of karma and rebirth. Explain the concept